Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fun Shoot Podcast with me, Jong. And in this particular episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of me bringing a friend or acquaintance from the nightlife or the burlesque, the creative world, I will be the guest. So I had the honor and privilege of being on the Tails and Tassels podcast by Gemma Smith. She is a wonderful podcast host, also an MC and producer of burlesque shows, but she is also a manager for a kitten nursery. And combining all of those passions, she created this amazing podcast called Tails and Tassels, where she explores the world of burlesque, nightlife performers, their craft, and their cats. And although I am not a burlesque performer nor a nightlife performer, we've been in the same community for quite a while now. And I also work her Cat Beret, a cat themed variety show, something that she produces on a quarterly basis at one of the amazing venues in the Lower East Side called the Caveat. The Tails and Tassels podcast was also recently nominated in the 2025 Earworthy Awards under the Indie Podcast and Trends category. So I implore you guys to check out the links below and subscribe to the Tails and Tassels podcast. Also support all of Gemma's shows. They're all great. Again, we've mentioned the Cat Beret, a cat-themed variety show. She also does the Realities, which is a reality-themed burlesque show. So these are always fun, always an experience to enjoy here in New York. So I really encourage you guys to follow her and everything that she does. So for this episode, I am cross-posting her podcast episode with me on it, where we talked about my process, where I navigate my day job and my night job in a way that it is very efficient and conducive for growth. That is kind of one of the words that I say a lot: efficiency and maximizing your time to be able to do not only your responsibilities, but the things that you're passionate about. And I'm very passionate in sharing the art and artistry of my friends and our different acquaintances, all of these amazing artists in New York. So that's my little way in giving back into the community, is being able to assist them in documenting, cataloging their growth in their art, and making content for both of us, right? For my subjects and for myself. So without further ado, please enjoy episode 21 of the Tails and Tassel podcast featuring me. And again, don't forget to click on the links below, follow Gemma Smith, subscribe to the Tails and Tassels podcasts and all of our socials so that you can be notified whenever we do more fun stuff. Thank you very much, and see you on the other side.
Welcome back, kitty cats, to another episode of Tails and Tassels, the show where you pounce into the lives of burlesque and nightlife performers, their craft, their cats, and how the two worlds intertwine. I'm your host, Gemma Smith. By day, I work at a kitten nursery, and by night, I host the Cat Beret, New York City's cat-themed variety show. Today is our final guest interview of season 1, and I'm so excited for you to hear it. I really saved a juicy interview for last of this season. But before I introduce our special guest, a quick reminder: we'd love to have you join us at the next Cat Beret in New York City, or via live stream, so you can watch with your cats on your couch across the country, across the world. We're going to celebrate spring and kitten season. So save the date, Thursday, April 24th at Caveat on the Lower East Side. And as always, expect cat-themed comedy, music. We've got drag and burlesque, aka Burlesque. Plus, we'll be promoting adoptable kitties from Rescue NYC and Koneko Cat Cafe. All right, let's get into today's conversation. I'm positively delighted to chat with another ameowsing, creative, and one of our expert guests, Jong, aka Janelle Clemente. Jong is a multi-talented photographer, videographer, digital marketer based in Brooklyn, New York, by way of Manila, Philippines. His work captures the magic of nightlife, performance, and creativity in New York City. You might know him from Jong TV on YouTube, where he showcases live performances, shares photography tips, and hosts Fun Shoot Podcast, chatting with fellow creatives and creators about their artistic process. I got to be one of his lucky guests. It's a blast. Yes. And he also happens to be the incredible photographer and videographer behind the Cat Beret. So if you've come to a show, you've likely seen him throughout the night, capturing shots from all different angles. He's all over the theater. And he has the quickest turnaround time out of anyone I've ever worked with. So welcome to the podcast, Jong. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Gemma. This is such a treat to, both be on the other side of the content creation process, and I've always liked all of your productions, from shows to your fun clips, your TikToks, and of course your podcast as well. So thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you, and you're such an inspiration because I learn from you as I'm seeing your work, and digital marketing is something I'm very interested in, and everything that you've done really inspires me. And so I want to learn. I know you in real life, but I don't know a lot about your background. I'm doing a bit of research for this episode. I noticed on your website you have a background in legal management and IT. So how did you transition to photography, videography, or was this something that was always a passion?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. And also, you guys inspire me as well, particularly you. I remember doing the first Hell Phone photo shoot of your production too, with Lorna Doom. And the venue, the production, the emceeing, the cast was so nice and well managed. So I always look at working, or I always am inspired with working with people that are such pros with positive intent. But in terms of, or directly answering your question, yes, it photography has been my passion since I was very, very young. And it's not because I'm particularly artistic. I actually took the photography classes in college because I like the chemical process of it, the developing of the film of it. I was actually, or still am, pretty camera shy. I don't like being in front of, or I'm not the most comfortable in front of the camera, despite all the videos. So in high school and college, I'd be the person that will run to, let me take the group photo. And then I just parlayed that into a photography, like an elective when I was in a college. I really, really enjoyed the developing process, the chemical, the magic process of making light, printing it into a negative. So that's what really got me into it. I just continued on learning bit by bit from film, black and white film, which is a little bit easier to develop, and then colored film, which is a little bit more difficult to develop. And then as the years in college went along, digital photography made it a little bit easier to capture stuff. And I just continued doing it bit by bit until I truly fell in love, I think people started encouraging me and my friends who take photography as well to do it a little bit more, and was able to get lucky enough to work with both fellow photographers that are fun to hang out with, because if you do stuff with fun people, you do it more, and then when you do it more, you get more reps. Hopefully you get better. And as you get older and more responsibilities come in, you find more and more some solace in things, people, places that will make you at peace or happiest. And photography has always been that thing. And I just decided on certain genres that I love the most, which is portraiture, of course, includes model portfolios, a lot of implied and art nudes too, that kind of is like fun for me to do as well, and really just continued the muscle of getting bit and bit better around that. So that's kind of like, most of my day job, or most of my training has been a little bit more corporate, a little bit more straight. And then this was kind of, all right, a creative part of the brain, and hopefully that kind of balances out like the day to day whenever I do things. So yeah, that's the background of how I got into it.
It's exciting to hear your journey and also inspiring for folks out there who want to start a new skill. When you started photography, it's so interesting that the science of it drew you to it. And that makes sense. I think it's cool. I've never actually developed my own photos. I can see how that's a really cool process. And then bit by bit, the hours you spent doing it, the community that you were around inspired you to keep going. And now you have this big body of work. And you mentioned portraiture. And I see you have stunning portraits on your website, on your Instagram. And you've taken mine, and I love them. So what drew you to portraiture? And what do you love about it the most?
So I guess a consistent theme in everything that I do is I want everything to be, I want to do things that make me happiest. And what makes me happiest is producing good work, good stuff, or not wasting time, because that's the only resource that we can get any more of. I got into portraiture because it has all the elements to make me like doing it more, because it's the easiest for my type of lifestyle, right? So I like traveling. I like hiking. I like going to places, but it's not the easiest thing to do. So if I decided to become a landscape photographer, and if travel is not my 1A priority after work or family, then I won't be able to improve, learn, practice as much as I could. I love events. I do yours, right? But also,
Thank you.
with our all the things that we could do in this wonderful city of ours, it's not something that I would spend 1 day a week doing. But things in the studio can be efficient even in a small apartment in Brooklyn. So that's where, all right, it's convenient for me to do. It is something that you don't know what you like or don't like yet once you start doing it. But the more that I did it, the more that it was fun. It also, for the subject, requires a little bit less preparation, because had I have a bigger studio space and access to a stylist and a makeup artist every shoot, I might be a fashion photographer, because I like those too. But I don't. Usually, with our community, it's not easy to get your hair done or have your makeup all the time. So being considerate on the subjects as well, because you can pop in with nothing or with everything, and we could take a portrait. And that's the fun thing about, or the thing that I love the most about portraiture is, it is, you are connecting with your subject on a one-on-one basis most of the time if you're doing like a one-on-one portrait, but also the landscape of emotions that picture or that image can provide the audience can have a billion and different interpretations. Something simple can be super engaging, and something super complicated can look super simple. So you just need a wall or a backdrop, or if you want to do it outside, you can do it as well. So that way, I can do it a lot. I can squeeze it in any type of shoot that I want to. I can technically do it wherever I am. I just prefer to doing it in my apartment studio. So that's what I kind of planted my flag on, and will continue to get better at, because I, knowing myself, I'll never be satisfied the way that I shoot stuff, and there's always newer things to learn, new people to copy and to emulate. So it's also the best thing about portraiture too is, I think everyone needs it, whether it's LinkedIn, putting it on Facebook, or putting it on Instagram. You'll just you'd use it all the time. So that's that's something that it kind of, all the ingredients in making it a fun genre for me to really invest my time and resources in. It's all right, easy for me to do, easy to get subjects to do it, and then the utility of being able to use and share it. That's the triumvirate. It's going to be very efficient and useful. Let's work on that. So, and I'm sure other people will have can do the same kind of templated thinking around what they are spending their time on. This just fits my lifestyle.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's important for artists here in New York City. many of whom we're wearing different hats. We have day jobs. We're
Mm-hmm.
pursuing our art, outside of certain hours. And so it makes a lot of sense for you that you're like, this is how I can do it consistently.
Yeah.
And you're, for our listeners, I've been to your apartment when we did Fun Shoot podcast
Yeah.
and you took my portraits. And yeah, you have all the backdrops, the lights. You have a good size apartment, but you're right. Like you have your own apartment that can be a studio. And that just makes so much more sense and ease, and you can continue your work and your art
Yeah.
at your own schedule.
Yeah. And there are geniuses out there that will probably have a skill or a talent that they can do on command. But for 99% of the people, it's practice, it's reps, it's being able to receive and ask for feedback to get better. And the more that you could, create an environment for reps, for practice, the more that you can just have fun and get better, but also finding the thing that you like. So, because like, even if it's annoying to move my entire living room to change it into a studio whenever I do shoot, I yearn for it. So it's not as much of a chore if it were like, oh, I have to set up a desk so I can work for my day job. I'd still love doing it, but it's nowhere near as pleasant as like, okay, I'm gonna sweep, I'm gonna vacuum, I'm gonna move my couch, I'm gonna put my backdrops in, I'm gonna set up 2 lights, and then we'll do a photo shoot. All those is just like, it doesn't even feel like it's a chore because you're excited to do something like that. So it's kind of like a carrot too. Like, the more that you can do it, the more that it's fun. But you have to find something that, makes you really, really happy doing first.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, for new photographers out there, getting the reps and getting the practice, and you actually share photography tips on your YouTube channel, Jong TV, a very strong following. Puts my measly YouTube is like
No.
to shame. You have over 20, as of the other day, over 25,000 subscribers. Wow.
Yeah.
What led you to start sharing your work there? If you just like want to talk a little bit about your YouTube, the tips that you share, and then how you got so many followers.
I love sharing this too. It's kind of like it's not a secret, but not a lot of people really take advantage of, because they don't understand the word algorithm, right? So people think that it is some daunting AI thinking to kind of trick people to watching your stuff. No. First of all, the reason why I started the YouTube channel was because during the pandemic, everybody was getting, learning a second language, baking bread, taking care of plants, none of which I'm good at nor enjoy doing. But I already had had cameras that were amazing for photography, but also, equally as good, sometimes even better for videography. So, and I wanted to continue to learn new skills, and editing was one of those things that I begrudgingly needed to learn because, unfortunately, the past 5-6 years, everything is moving from imagery to video. That's just what we're pushing right now, and don't have to discuss it right now, but video is being pushed by a lot of these platforms because it's easier to plug in ads on a video than a post or a photo, right? So if you're watching a video, you're probably watching 2 or 3, you can just like squeeze in a little ad there so that the platform can make money, and they can get more advertisers. So that's the reason why. So it was like, I think we talk about it too when we were hanging out. It's like, it sucks that I have to do it because photography is my thing, and I don't like doing things that aren't great. And usually there's way more people that are way better at video than I am. But again, just finding bits and pieces of way that you can you make more utility out of the things that you're learning, particularly during the pandemic. Shows were a little bit more difficult to produce, or there's not a lot. Even if there were shows then, it was limited capacity. So covering that will be probably a nice, not only incentive for performers to continue performing because they'll get content, but we could continue to share their skills and their art form to people that may or may not be more comfort or not comfortable enough to go to shows yet. So I'm getting to support local businesses, support my friends. Usually I'll bring friends to hang out with me while I document my other friends. So that's three
Yeah.
birds with one stone. Plus I get to, again, most importantly, reps, right?
Yeah.
Documenting live art performances is, it requires a lot of care. But when I started, I just need to learn how to splice music together, and that's it. I just need to do it and plug it in, and then I'll build from there. So that was kind of one aspect of what I wanted to do with it, because my ultimate goal was to be, not necessarily be a YouTube personality, but to get free stuff from photography companies that I spent
Hey.
so much money on. So I figured, like, if I get to X number of subscribers, usually you can either reach out, or automatically these companies will reach out to you. I just didn't realize how difficult that was. Like, doing photography reviews or camera gear reviews is probably the second most difficult genre, right behind finance, in topics on YouTube too, and these are easily searchable on just Google, on types of like what CPM, or like cost per thousand views, people will give you every time you watch a video. And usually photography is very, very low, because one, a lot of people do it, and two, the people that do it are actually videographers that already, that's their training. They're working on film. They can cut videos really quickly with awesome B-roll and sound effects, which wasn't me. And I just wanted to kind of like, all right, I tried doing camera reviews. It was difficult. Took me so much time because I'm not good in front of the camera. Plus, I need to learn how to edit. So I switched to something a little bit easier to grow the following there. So now, like, the part of the channel is, or the main thrust of the channel is showcasing performers, because that's just dope. They get content, I get content,
Yeah.
we get to promote a wonderful piece of art to more people. And then now that the base of the viewers are big enough, eventually a small percentage of those will be interested on how those videos are made, and how those videos are made about those people. And then most of those people I photograph, and then I take behind the scenes stuff about those shoots as well. So my goal there was to make a little, make my 2 to 3 days a month of production. That's when I actually can only devote time to my passion, because of the day job. I just needed to make it like super duper efficient. So, I go
Yes.
to 1 or 2 shows a month. I can either enjoy it, just hang out with friends. I can cover it, get content. So that's an efficient way. And then I still love doing photo shoots. So when I do photo shoots, I want to make sure that, all right, I'm doing a photo shoot anyway, and I've learned enough in filming where I can unobtrusively put a couple of extra cameras to document the shoot.
I love that.
And then, so now I'm making photos, I'm making a different type of video. All I have to do is either add a little bit of commentary about how I did the shoot, which is hopefully can help other starting photographers to not be intimidated in doing a shoot in a smaller space, or with limited resources, but also to show people that you don't need, because sometimes, like, people go to the apartment, and if you're a seasoned subject or a seasoned model, it's like, oh, just two lights or just one light and the tiny space. They don't understand that it's not about the gear. It's, it's how you kind of like match the idea to how you can produce it. So I always try, as 1A is do good work, 1B is like show those giant studios out there that you don't need 500 lights and 3 assistants to do this shot. I can do it with one light, with a little bit extra elbow grease. But that kind of is another bucket of things that I could do in you make it efficient. And like what we did with yours, like we did a photo shoot, and then let's just chat for 35, 45 minutes, and then make that into content, which is, again, I'm also still continuously learning. I know enough that, just consistency is the most important thing. But secondarily, like what we both do here, it's also both, it's not extremely selfish to learn or take as much expertise from your friends or your acquaintances and use it for your benefit, because if you document and share it out, more people will benefit from it. So that's kind of what I try to encapsulate in all of these things. Like, yes, the output is number one, but I really do enjoy the maximizing of, like, yeah, I have X number of hours a month to do this. How much content can I produce in my 2 to 3 days of content production? And right now, I think I'm at the best input output kind of thing. Like, I'll film to 2 to 3 a month, or I'll do 1 to 2 shoots a month, and then that can give me close to month and a half, 2 months of content weekly. So that's the other thing too. Understanding the algorithm. Algorithm is just like, produce your content consistently as much as you can, double it if you can, because in the end, it's the content is the content. The content will always win, but sometimes you can't improve on the content that quickly. What you can improve on and is the production. So, like, okay, I have at least 2 videos coming out on my channel every week, one for live out performance and one random thing. There's going to be a reel that is from the performance that comes out daily as well, and just pack that in until however long I can. Like right now till August, I have stuff. So everything that I do now is either I can massage it. Do I double up per week or extend my comfort? So, like, all right, maybe I'll plug some stuff till September so that I don't need to rush right now to film something. So yeah, that's kind of like the long-winded saying of, like, yeah, this YouTube channel is pandemic born operations management practice, but more importantly is it's trying to fit it in a very, very both busy day schedule, but also, like, again, this is, I love photography, but I have friends, I like to travel. So, it's, there's only so much time that you can, plug in a day. So I really enjoy balancing all those out.
Yeah, you dropped a lot of nuggets there. I like the maximizing. And I've noticed that from you. Like when I went to do your podcast, we did a photo shoot. Then you have your podcast and you have all the clips from the podcast, which now I was like, oh, when I have a podcast, because being on your podcast made the wheels turn about creating my own. And I learned from you. So you're right. And the behind the scenes, I've seen many of your behind the scenes videos. I find those fascinating. And I'm sure other photographers do even more so. And like you said, how showing what you can do with more limited equipment than these like big budget folks, that's super inspiring. I also meant to mention at the intro, I realized like halfway through our conversation that you're a cat dad, and we are going to talk about
100%.
your cat whiskey. I forgot that. Of course, people, if you're listening and you're like, where's the cat talk? We'll get there, okay? You're going to learn about photography, maybe a tip for pets. But I wanted to then go more into your podcast because that's also on your YouTube. Before we do that, actually, I wanted to ask you, do you have like a content calendar for yourself then? Because you said you have content through August.
Yeah. So whenever you just Google, like, what is a good schedule to pump out stuff, there are a couple of different articles with because all of these quote unquote algorithms on what platforms push changes from month to month. The least common denominator along all those is consistency. So once a week for longer form content, so which is YouTube kind of stuff, and daily for shorter form content, which is Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Actually, I just read a couple of days ago, like TikTok now, because people are coming back and after the short ban, like 3 times a day is one of the factors that they will push more, because a lot of this algorithm is just basic human experimentation. I'm going to show your stuff to 200 people, and if they like it a lot, I'll show it to 10 more if they like more. It's just basic stuff. So content will always still win, but put your content in a very good place so that it can be seen, and it's not quote unquote blocked by the platform. So if you have 4 weeks in a month, my goal was always to kind of like break it out into fostering my content that can be monetized. So I forgot to mention live art performances, because they use commercial music. I can't say I can't monetize them, but the CPMs or the revenue that I get from them is extremely, extremely, extremely small if ever they do allow those music to be used. So most of the time, use commercial music, that's it. But again, I maximize that as like a lot more people would want to see, very beautiful people performing. So you just use that and then convert that into the content that I can monetize, which are behind the scenes photo shoot, camera reviews, and something random like a vlog. So that's usually my breakdown. 4 weeks in a month, every week. So every Wednesday will always have some live art performance coming in. That's weekly. Sometimes I double up if I have, I shot something last year and I haven't published it and it's a good theme that's coming up. So like I'll plug it on Christmas, or usually I've shot menorah horror for years and years, and I just pump those out during like the Jewish holidays to kind of like, because a lot of people are searching those terms anyway.
So
that's
smart.
like, yeah, that's the base. All of these are common sense, and you don't need a course to understand all of these. Like, yeah, people will be searching 4th of July stuff around the summer. So do a little bit more patriotic, US-centric Independence Day searching stuff around there. But so the base of the channel, the one that garners a lot, the most views will be the performances. I just pump that out once a week. And then I try to do one camera gear review for 1 week, one behind the scenes for another week, and then one podcast for the last week. So that's kind of like, all right, so every week there's something kind of new around 1 or 2 shoots. I also personally know I can optimize that a little bit more. Podcasts typically work better weekly, right? But I just can't. I mean, as much as I would want to, it's too much work. And also, when I sit down with the person, much like what you're doing right now, like you invest a lot of time, but also like you do a lot of research, and you want to make sure that the subject or your guest is, have an amazing platform as well. So I'm not going to just like phone in a weekly conversation with people, because that's just not my type of content. My type of content is having, the guests talk about their process of creativity, and like living in New York. We joke around like we work 3 or 4 jobs just to get to the 5th job. So it's like, that's not a conversation that's easy to just like pop out. That's why I do it. Most of my stuff I do it live too. So that's my content calendar. And then because you have 1 new video per week, that video gets then spliced up into short form content. So I use a semi-automated service that just dump it. So you dump a video, it generates around 11 or 12 different clips. Most of them suck, but you'll get 3, 4, and I use those to continuously put 1 short or reel on YouTube daily, so that there's always like 1 short every day, maybe 1 or 2 long form videos every week. That way your channel is always active and it's being seen. So you're going to get into some or higher of the front page of, let's say, YouTube a little bit more often. And that will kind of, just by the virtue of being shown a little bit more than 80% of the channels out there, more and more people will just click. Right. And that's it.
You've inspired me. So after today, because I'm starting out with YouTube, but what I hear from you and what I'm really taking away from this makes a lot of sense. Consistency is key. And that's a good thing, because that means, okay, look, you don't have to stress over, is this the perfect short every time you post something?
No,
it's just being consistent. And I hear you, and that resonates.
Yeah. And there will be some like technical things that we can work on one-on-one too, just to make sure that when you upload a YouTube short, make sure that it links to the long form video. It just shows YouTube that you know what you're doing. You already put hashtags or like metadata or keywords on your videos as well. Just making sure that you use every single quote unquote feature that they do shows that you are kind of like a platform expert. That's why they'll put on your first. And the great thing about that is, I'll, you have what you have one season of Tails and Tassels already. I think the stat is like 93% of people that start a podcast stops at like episode 3.
You're right. I read that stat and I go back to that stat to feel better, to feel like good about myself despite this growth. It's great to keep that hey, we made it.
And the good thing about it too is like my you mentioned my channel right now is at 25.6. It took me a full year to get to 100 subs because again I didn't know my content to start. I was like doing camera gear reviews and I was doing vlogs and I did not know what I was doing. And my first goal was like I just want that vanity URL because like you can't get your custom URL until you're 100 subs, and then the next milestone is 1,000 when you get monetized. So the first 100 was so difficult. Like 60 of those were literally direct friends and family. And then the more subscribers or the more views that you get, the more that the platform pushes your content. It's exponential. Like, between year 2 and right now I'm on year 4. Maybe second year I got to like 1,500 subs and I was super duper happy. I was about to quit. And that's when I kind of like, that's when the pandemic really, really hit. And then that's when, okay, this is where I'm going to start pumping out content. Because I just needed a place to put where I'm filming these shows. I just needed a place to put it. So, and then from year 2 to year 3 took me it was like 5,000. And then the rest, like the 20 grand was year 3.5 and above, because that's how, exponential viewership and growth works. So it just takes a couple of things. So the important thing there is like, once you do get maybe a great piece of content that people will watch a lot or share a lot, or you have like a very, very popular guests that will like, a celebrity or somebody that has a big following and a fraction of their followers go to your channel and subscribe, then they can get to see like, oh, you got 50 other podcasts that I can listen to. So I can just like pop that in the background and continue listening. Now your older and older content gets resurfaced again, and then we go through the cycle again. So that's that's what happened to me. Like two of my videos got like a couple of million views, and it just like it got all the other performance video kind of popping. And then with my podcast, like my first guest, it was a cheat. Like, my friend Sarah was in America's Next Top Model, and she was the first quote unquote plus size model at size 2 in in America's Top Model. So she's a comedian, so she's an engaging personality. So having like a first episode with that kind of eyes on it was kind of cool. So it's just consistency, and we talked about it a lot too, and I tell all my friends, we can't hit homers all the time. It's not going to be 100% all the time. If it's at 75%, push it out, because don't let perfect be in the way of good, because content is key, and we can just do better.
That's my favorite quote. I love that you did that quote. I agree with you, because if we wait for things to be perfect, they're never going to get out there. And what you're sharing is really encouraging. For artists, there's a lot of very talented, whether they're burlesque performers, actors, comedians, that maybe aren't so great with YouTube or with creating content, or maybe don't really love navigating social media. But, if you are doing the work anyway and you find ways to share what you're already doing and maybe some backstage tips or some behind the scenes looks, you too could share your art with the world. And then eventually monetizing is something I think we'd all like to do. It's a way to help fund your art. And so these are really valuable tips for any artist wanting to grow a following.
Yeah, it's the least friction because in the end we don't want to discourage ourselves when it's too difficult. Like I do that all the time. There's a bunch of other topics or genres or things that I kind of started and then I let go because it was just either not it couldn't fit into my workflow or my day-to-day process because I wanted something to be easy. And I do that in every single thing, like working out or trying to get fit. I'm finally trying to get fit in my
honestly me too because I'm on a journey too.
and it sucks so bad and it's really straining everything else because the time that it requires takes a lot. So I'm trying to find smaller and smaller ways. So now I have a flow where like I have to wake up a little bit early so that I can take that walk, go to the gym, bring my work, stop by a coffee shop on the way back, take my work, get groceries every lunchtime so that I can walk more. So finding those little spots and making it fun. So I may not like working out. I may not like walking, but I do like that I live across the park and get to see it. And if you are, again, a performer, you want to do those getting ready with me stuff. Yeah, you just get it flowing, get it easy, and then the most important part is like don't stop there. Like sure, yeah, make it do it, but get a little bit better at it more and more. Like okay, be a little more articulate, maybe do a little bit more editing here and there, put it in a length that is easier to absorb. So that's kind of, you can't get better until you start, and you can't start if it's too difficult. So build up, build up, build up, because, if I got to this number, it's a lot of hard work, but it's like hard work that I would have done regardless just because of the craft itself. So it didn't really require me to do other stuff. I didn't buy extra gear to do things. I was going to buy because I like photography and videography anyway. So, so if you're just going to buy makeup anyway, and you were going to tell your friends your opinion on why this brand or this color is better, and if it's not too much trouble to prop up your phone, because 95% of the time your phone is fine, maybe just plug in a mic, because like audio is actually will up level any video super easy. Then
Thank you for saying that. I'm going to get a little mic because I notice sometimes I want to do little TikToks when I'm walking in the city and like the sound is so bad. So thanks for saying that.
It's small things like those will improve you. You'll get from like 40 to 60%, now get to 75%. And eventually you'll get to 90%. And then when you get to 90%, it's like, okay, how can I get to 90% more consistently? Then that's where the hard work really comes in.
So many good tips for creatives who want to share their work. And going into some more tips, as a photographer, you are an expert. So a lot of, performers, some are very natural in front of the camera. Some might be a little nervous, but we could all do to hear from a photographer ways that we can make the most out of a shoot. So, what, in your opinion, makes a great portrait or promo shot for a performer?
Well, thanks for asking, because like I still consistently think about that too. I guess that's number one, whether you're in front of the camera or in the back of the camera. Be thankful and happy with all the content that you make, because that's you, regardless of the quality. That's still something that not a lot of people have, and it's something to collate and grow from, and kind of remember. Point of time in life. But what makes a good portrait image period, I always look at very, very foundational things. So one, it should be foundationally sound. It needs to be sharp where it needs to be sharp, bright when it needs to be bright, dark when it needs to be dark. And a combination of those, I look at it as has some dynamism. So it's not super flat, because if it's too sharp and too clear, it's a passport photo. If it's too dark, it means like you don't know your stuff technically. So if it's a clear and sound image, That's the baseline of anything. Doesn't matter how artistic it is, how pretty you are, how amazing your makeup is. If you can't see it the way that it needs to be seen, that's, it's off. So you need to work on it a little bit. The number two about that, so like just the technical foundation is always kind of going to be a baseline for pretty much every art form anyway. Like, I know there's people that can bend or break the rules, but that's exception, not like the standard. Like you need to take a clear, sharp, well colored, well lit photo first. Secondarily, it needs to be personally specific, right? It needs to be you, right? And because of that, you don't want to you want to develop, either you need to be closer to the brand that you're building or to the brand that you're transitioning towards. Like, so if you're doing a LinkedIn shot and you are doing a corporate portrait, corporate headshot, maybe your backstage burlesque makeup and, headdress and, boa might not be the correct thing there, right? It needs to be specific to what you intend to do. Conversely, if you want to be, if you're trying to apply for a burlesque festival, you're not going to put a 2x2 photo of your face. You're going to put, possibly a little bit more costume, right? A little bit more of your personality, a little bit more brand. So that's very important, because sometimes a lot of times it's fun to just shoot to shoot, right? But it's sometimes good to shoot with some form of output in mind. So it's useful. You're not, you can doubly maximize the thing that you're doing. So, and I think lastly, a lot of people forget, it just needs to make you happy. So forget about my rule number one and rule number two. If the shot makes you happy, that's the most important part, and that's the thing. It's like, if you've always been not comfortable with your body, and then somebody took a little bit more of a risque photo of you and you enjoyed it, doesn't matter who else thinks technically sound it is, or if your pose was not X, Y, Z, or your flabs are showing. If you like it, that's, that trumps any other rule that anybody can say. So a combination or the presence of all those three would be ideal, but I would never sacrifice the subject's personal happiness about that shot over anything. So if I think the pose is off and I don't think the lighting and I think it's out of focus, but you like it, we're going to do your shot. All right. We're going to post it. We're going to be happy about it. We're going to amplify it, because in the end, the subject's happiness needs to be number one. Maybe your tastes will evolve in the future, but if you're not happy, it won't evolve to anywhere anyway. So those are kind of like my three main tips in good images, or I think in the end, good work, period. Yeah. If you're trying to build a house, pretty much the same thing. It's like, sure, you need the bones to be nice and you need to fit your needs, but you need to be happy with it. So if you want a pink house, get a fucking pink house. Right? That's it.
I absolutely agree. And it's for our listeners who haven't tuned into Fun Shoot Podcast. At the end, you ask each creative guest to share their favorite photo of themselves. So what you're saying really is in line with your philosophy. You love amplifying performers and their favorite photos. And I really liked what you said also about folks figuring out like their brand, because that's the important part of the work that the performers, the creatives, whoever's being photographed, has to come into the session kind of prepped, thinking about, what am I wearing? What is this used for? Who's my audience? So on that note of thinking other tips for subjects in front of the camera, any other prep tips, posing, to help performers feel confident in front of the camera?
Yeah. It's the easiest, lowest lift, lowest hanging fruit when you're preparing for a photo shoot or anything that will cap your performance or imagery. Just stand on the shoulders of giants. Go to Google, type in best poses. Make a Pinterest board or copy the images of the poses that you personally think are nice. That's baseline. Organize it so it's a little bit easier to find, like, okay, these are full body shots, half body shots, first body shots. That's super easy, because that saves so much time, because there might be things that you're just not comfortable doing, or you don't aesthetically like for other people. So ostensibly you wouldn't like it for yourself as well. And we get to see, like, you and you're working with, photographer or a stylist or a producer of a show or for wherever, you get to kind of like narrow down the focus, like, okay, this is what I like. How about you? Your expertise, let's combine there. And then we can quickly narrow down and try to copy even those lighting or poses, because it's never going to be one is to one anyway, right? Different photographers, different models, different angles, whatever. But at least you have a very, very quick baseline to do stuff. But the important thing is, like, again, pick good shots. Like, I'm not saying like stand on the shoulders of the people that are your same size. No, take the giant, shoot your, like, aim high, like look at the best models, the best photos, the best shoots, and then you'll develop a style that you like, and then it's going to be easier to research the things that you can't prepare for a shoot. So maybe first it's poses, then it becomes makeup, maybe styles of clothes. So that kind of like builds in your personal brand and personal taste, so that it's a little bit easier to, number two, improve. Because again, you might think it's good, but maybe not a lot of other people think it's good. Or it might be good for them, but maybe for your stature, your complexion, your hair, your makeup, your style, might not be work for you. So developing and refining your taste is a two-way street. So, prepare to ask for feedback, collaborate, talk to your friends, see like, hey, is this, does this work for me? Or like, what do you think works for me is always good. Like refining your taste and improving your eye in terms of what is good. And then secondarily, what's good for you. And then what you can shoot for is number two. And things that you could actually improve on is, again, asking and asking for feedback is very difficult. Receiving feedback is also very difficult. So if you have old shoots that you can review with an unbiased third party friend, partner, other photographers, other models that you can sit with, it's like, let's just like power through all of our shots. These are my choices. What do you think? It's like, oh, maybe somebody would say like, oh, you should have picked this, but and everybody's taste is different. It's just developing your library of eye, and also, and again, I think lastly and above all, again, just have fun. You know, if you're not having fun preparing, or you're not like super, the goal is you should be excited to work with something or someone. So if you're not having, it's like, oh, I have to do this, maybe it's not the right type of shoot or right type of photographer or right type of time to do it. So, fun is a key ingredient in developing good work.
These are all really great actionable tips for folks who still have some nerves or just want to better themselves for the next shoot. I've learned, because in the last 5 years, I've had more photo shoots when you need promo photos for certain shows you're doing, etc. And it's just like being behind the camera, in front of the camera. The more you do it, like you're going to just continue to get better. You're going to learn poses that you like when you're looking at the photos, like you mentioned, refining your taste. So a lot of actionable steps for you all listening. And then just doing a little segue into our whiskey chat. And whiskey is Jong's cat. Do you have any tips for cat parents? And then we're going to learn more about whiskey. But do you have any tips for cat parents on taking photos of their kitties? Because when you sent me the last batch of cat beret photos, it was so cute. You snuck in a photo of whiskey. I guess maybe before you left for the event, you like took a photo of whiskey. That was so cute.
I was calibrating my colors to make sure that it's there. But I was like, oh, I forgot to format my card. But you know what? She's cute.
I loved it.
I can't. You and your friends might be way better at taking more cat photos or pet photos than I am. But I always try to take an opportunity to get better at everything that I do. So whenever I do have off time, in between meetings at work, tinkering with my camera calms me. right? That's the thing. So what better subject that I have that is both accessible and people like than my cat? So if I want to mix different colors or if I have a new camera that I'm like getting to know, I just like spam it and just like take photos of my cat all the time. I don't
We get
post it
it.
all the time, but yeah. So that's kind of like my thing. It's like, again, the best camera is the one that's with you. And, it's not the taking photos that is the difficult part. The tips and taking pet photos is not technical about shooting it. The tip is whittling it down, right? So my exercise has always been, yeah, if not every day, almost every day, I'll probably have a few photos of whiskey, but I don't post them all the time because one, I get jealous because whiskey gets more attention than any of my other shots. Um, but also too, it's like I want to save space in my phone, so maybe I'll take 5, 10 a day, and then I'll save one, and then when I think of a cute caption, I'll post it. So that's the other part too. It's like one thing that makes it difficult for people to really appreciate the mundane photography. Like there's always great images everywhere, but if you keep taking photos and you have like 75 of the same shots in your phone, you don't know which is the best one. So in the same line of refining your taste, like even with whiskey photos, like I don't know if she's off frame right now, but she poses super duper well on the couch. So it's super fun. Like I'm lucky that she poses that way, and it's great. And it calms me to take a break to appreciate the calmness of your pet. Right, that's another thing too. We're stressed every day, but look at this little furball sleeps 16 hours a day, and when I look at it, it's like that's the life. That is the best life. And capturing it a little bit. Maybe I'm outside. I'm in the office. I'm tired. I pop in my phone. I have a cute photo. So that's the main. Or one of the main benefits of having pets or things that you love access. So yeah, that's a tip. It's like enjoy it, but to maximize the enjoyment, like yeah, curate to a few things that will either really hit your heart. Like this was the shot when I was like, okay, it was a rough day, and then you were snoring, and then I took a picture. I remember that, and that's gonna be good. Or it just makes it easier for us to post it on Instagram stories, which I'll post.
Yeah, yeah. If you tag Tails Tassels Pod for sure, and I'll be sharing when this episode's out. We'll be sharing whiskey photos all over, along with yours too. There's a cute one of you and her on your website that I was going to use for the promo, if that's okay.
Of course.
Can you share more about just how she came into your life, how old she is, her personality?
Whiskey is 9 years old. She just had her ninth birthday. A few days after this recording, her birthday is March 3rd. Whiskey is actually my second cat. My first, I was never a cat person. First and foremost, I was always a big dog person. But being in New York and even when I was with my partner, our hours were just so long that it was going to be inhumane to have a pet where you can't see for 12, 14 hours a day, or a dog in specificity. So, with my ex-wife, she was able to whittle me down from a husky. That was my dream. I wanted a husky. We live right across the park. I'm sure we can rock it, but she was able to whittle me down from a husky down to a chihuahua. At that point, it's like, might as well get a cat. But I've never really had great experiences with cat. All my friends' cats are too skittish or ruins furniture or doesn't play with them. So my experience with cats initially was not great until one of our friends had a cat was like a dog, and that was kind of my template. It's like, oh, some cats are just chill, that will love you and cuddle with you. It's great. Oh, and then they clean up after themselves. So you just have to clean the litter every day. So it's not too bad. So I was roped into and convinced to visit a bunch of shelters, and at that time we were able to get my first cat. The first cat, his name was Bacon. right?
Oh,
Cute
cute.
little. Uh, technically, he was listed as an American short hair, but he was very long hair.
Huh.
So that was my first cat. But when my ex and I divorced 9 years ago, 10 years ago now, it took me years to recover because that dude was my homeboy. Like every day we would be playing video games together, and he was just right beside me. It was my calm, and it really the divorce was technically fine. It was a very amicable divorce. It was a happy. It was you don't really you break up with somebody and kind of like everything is up from there. So the only thing that really, really scarred my heart was having a connection with a pet that had unconditional love. That consistency sucked. So it took me a really, really long time before I was even ready to look for a cat. So and even when I was ready, it took a long time. Like me and my other friend Elise would do monthly shelter dates where we'd go to a new shelter once a month. We'll do brunch. We'll do Sean Casey. We do brunch and we'll do to some ASPCA. We'll do brunch. We'll go to a Petco in Union Square. So to look for cats, and I got close a few times. Uh, but one time it's like, oh, the cat was a little too old. So like, I mean, I want some cat that was super duper young so we could both grow together. One time I found a cat, but I needed to get the cat and the sister. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can handle two at the same time. So knowing my limitations, and just weirdly by some serendipitous chance, the I used to take photos of Bacon and send it to the shelter that we got whiskey from up in Westchester, and then they just emailed me one time and it's like, "Is everything okay with Bacon? We haven't seen Bacon in a year." It's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. He should be fine. It's just like he's no longer with me, so I'm not taking pictures anymore." I was like, "Oh, well, that same litter has a new kittens that needs to be rehomed." So I 100% went up there thinking that I was gonna get Bacon's sibling or whatever, right? But luckily, when I got there and played with the kittens, I was like, might not be good for me to be stuck in the past to get a Bacon replacement. That's not fun. And it just coincidentally, a small litter of British short hairs was there as well, and I got to play with that litter. And then I was considering, it's like, but they're white. I own everything in black, so this might not be might be different. I was being very picky because the standards were high, and Whiskey was actually the only kitten that did not play with me because there was a little litter, not play with me. As I was about to leave, then she came over and then just like walked around my feet, and I just didn't. There was something there. Like I felt like this is gonna be my dude. And then right then and there, it's like I'm taking this dude. It's like, oh, you can't. They have to be spayed first. And so I came back like a week later, and we've been inseparable ever since. Like she's the best. I got so lucky because she thinks she's a person, so she doesn't destroy the. She doesn't scratch a lot of stuff. Easy to feed. Loves everybody. Not skittish at all, but not too clingy. So she doesn't sleep on my face or my chest. So she sleeps right beside me. I think the very very small negative is like she has white fur and she sheds a lot, and everything I own is black. So I have a subscribe and save on lint rollers, and I vacuum every 8 minutes because that's just how it's gonna be in our life right now. But yeah, that's Whiskey. Actually, I'm gonna get her. She's just
Yeah, see, she's so cute. For our listeners, she has this adorable, from what I remember, little like munchkiny little face. So there's, oh, we're gonna see her. Yay, she'll be a clip for sure. She's beautiful. She's
yeah.
really beautiful. Her coloring
I
on her head.
She's super calm. She's not loud. I've been teaching her to say hi to people. Can you say hi? No, she's too chill.
Her
She loves being
belly.
carried like a baby. So, like, every day I'll just like walk around the apartment while watching TV, and I'll be like this.
She is so cute and she is chill. I wonder if it's her breed. British short hairs, if they're a little more like chill than the average
They
cat.
apparently they're calm, they're intelligent, right? And having a white one is, or having a calico one is slightly rare because they're either super white or super gray.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, she's the best.
I see the calico coloring on her head, but then her whole body is white, and she's very adorable, and she does seem like a chill cat. Regarding the hair, do you have a special vacuum? Maybe we'll share it in the show notes that
Yeah,
you recommend.
I don't know if this is an indictment, but I loved with the past tense my I think it was like a V7 Dyson. It was the animal
Oh,
one. It was great. It was like an amazing investment, but I think I used it ragged and I broke it.
um,
So now I just have like a generic knockoff of some Dyson cordless vacuum just to make it easy to, in between calls or in between chores, I'll just like whip it out and then like vacuum and do some vacuuming of the couch back there because she was chilling the entire time there too. So
seems like you very mindfully went about this process and got the perfect companion for you. And I just have to say, I think we're on like similar timelines because in 2016, I also got divorced and
mhm.
I kept the two cats. And so it is good that you're sharing this for fellow divorcees or people who are broken up.
Mhm.
That, you're not alone when one spouse gets the pet and you don't split. I've seen when I worked at a vet clinic, some
Mm.
exes split like custody of their dog, but
Yeah.
it's hard. You can't really do that with cats. They want to be in their one home
Yeah, cats
versus
don't
dogs.
travel well. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're right in the mindfulness part of it too, because like not necessarily my ex-wife, but I've had girlfriends, ex-girlfriends that get attached to whiskey, and I'm not ashamed to admit most people probably like whiskey more than I do. Like most people like whiskey than me.
No.
So if I have exes that are in the air, it's like, oh, can I hang out with whiskey? It's like, no. No, you know what? We're good. It's like you can go on with your life. It's best I'm a clean break kind of person.
Hmm.
And so I don't want messy entanglements. I want to make sure that everything is growth oriented, and pets are very very important. I didn't think that I was going to be that a dude super duper in love with a shelter chubby cat with a snaggle tooth like Bacon was. But those were the photos that I think I looked at the most the years after I got divorced. Like I didn't, I had great memories, still have with my ex-wife, but the love that you get from a pet with no expectations and consistency, because that's the most important part, is like during that time I was just getting good at my career and was very very long hours, very tiring, extremely stressful, but being able to know that, okay, as soon as I get home, I'm just gonna grab a bite to eat, I'm gonna play an hour or two of my video game, and I have my dude right beside me. That
Nice.
if you can count on something like that, that will get you through a lot of other stuff, and which and you're right too. I think I was it's just meant to be that I found whiskey, because now I don't. The amount of conversations that me and whiskey have at night, I think, is the reason why I've not necessarily thrived, not just survived, but thrived the 9 years that I've had her now. So it's good to have a real pet companion that you take care of, because you know yourself too. They take care of you most of the time as well.
Yes. Oh, it really sounds like it with you and whiskey, a special bond and the perfect companion for you and your life. And before we wrap, I was curious
Mhm.
if there's anything else that you wanted to share um, about whiskey, about your work. Um, yeah.
I think the last few bits is, again, a lot of my passion time is devoted to photography and Jong TV, the channel. But appreciating friends and companions that kind of helped grow the community and the channel itself. Whiskey is a giant part of it because I'm very, very lucky that she is also a draw. Like, I'm not, I mean, sure, I know what I'm doing most of the time. But at the very least, when people come to a stranger's place, because that's how photography is, you have to go to a studio, you have to be with a person, and with the types of photos that we do, it's a little bit more risque too. So there's a lot of apprehension that comes with the subject, rightfully so. You don't want to be too loose and too okay with everything. You need to have your guards up, particularly in New York. It's great to have an awesome tool to disarm people because I have like a cute cat that loves everyone. Will probably will walk up to a stranger, and I maximize that where play with the cat. The cat will always join the shoots. She'll probably have one or two shots before she becomes a diva and requires her massage in her bed too. So that's the lucky part that I have with whiskey as well. So that does not that's not lost on me because sometimes you have bodega cats, you have studio cats. They're just there being fed and whatnot. No, whiskey is a host. She makes sure that she I don't know if it's in frame, but most of the time she hangs out on the couch, and every time I stand up and go to the bathroom, she looks at me and is like, go back to work. And same thing with doing photo shoots. She'll like, okay, where's my set? And then she'll come in, take a photos. Every model that picked her up was able to shoot with her. The only issue again is fur, but yeah, that's my whiskey. So I give her a lot of props as well. She is a huge part in the success of my photography, my day job, my sanity. So we give back by taking care of our pets, but also main reason why, I'm so drawn to Cat Beret because not only is it such a fun place, but in a little, in my own little part, I know that, I only document or do shoots for events if there is a cause behind it. That's just for me. It's like because I have limited time, I want to be able to say that cabaret, helps get pets adopted. So it's like, oh, that's great. Plus I love cats. Plus it's a cool show. There's like hot performers, and then there's gonna be fun things happening there. Great prizes. Also, Caveat is also a great space. So it's like everything checks in. It's like then let's do that. So it's not difficult to do things that actually has some goodness within it too. So that's my little bit part there. It's like, oh, let's take at least there might be one or two photos that the cat museum might use, or all the places might use. So I was like, all right, this is a great opportunity for me. So it's been a fun time of like whiskey helping me out, and hopefully I can help more cats and cat parents and people out as well.
Well, I absolutely love having you at this show. You have such great energy. Your photos are amazing. I'm always going through them. I'm so excited when I receive them, and there's so many to choose from. And one time you had mentioned earlier, you sometimes bring friends to shows. Yeah, you brought all your coworkers to one of my Meowloweens once. Yeah. That was awesome. And I wanted to say, I can attest to the fact that, yes, Whiskey greeted me at the door when I came over for the shoot at your place. She was in a couple of shots. She's very sweet, friendly, chill. So it really is the right fit. She's a host. She wants to come up and be involved and then do her own thing.
1,000%. Yeah, she's the best. I got lucky. That's the thing too. So when you get lucky like that, you don't lose your chance. So she gets brushed every day. She eats healthier than I do. So that's just how it kind of goes.
Yeah, we take care of them. They take care of us, and our mental health definitely is better. I love being at home with if I'm home alone, I like being at home with my cats. I hear them purr. I can be present for a moment and take a break from our work. So
100%.
Yeah. I want everyone to follow you and make sure that they're listening to your podcast. Can you just give all the links?
100%. Well, again, You can look at all my work at www.jongclemente.com. That will house all of my photography, YouTube channel, podcast stuff. But the main bulk of my energies are in the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ljong. Weekly live art performances. So you can get camera gear reviews as well as behind the scenes of other shoots. That also houses Fun Shoot Podcast, which is in all of your favorite podcasting apps out there that you use. Again, conversations with image makers and life shapers about their process of creativity and how weird and difficult it is to do in a big city like New York. But also my socials. I'm always on Instagram. The handle there is at ljong, at EL_JONG. Same thing on Twitter or X. Same thing on Blue Sky. Same thing on YouTube. On Facebook. So the branding is there. So I like sharing my work, not because I necessarily want to be famous, but we have so many cool and talented friends. So I'm very, very lucky that they're in my orbit. So I just want to make sure that they get shown more because it's very difficult to be a creative in New York. So if you see something that you like, a clip of a show or a performer or a model, I guarantee you they're performing at some point somewhere very near you. Follow us so that you can support them. Bring your friends and family. It's gonna be a grand time. Go to Cabaret, go to realities, like go to all the stuff. It's like it's a it's a hoot. That's the thing for a relatively low lift too. It's like it's not, it's not gonna be hundreds of dollars, but you'll have like a memorable night when you go one of these things for, a couple of bucks that you go for ticket and throw at, the performer. So yeah, support them while improving your craft. So man.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for all these nuggets of wisdom and inspiration. Thank you for amplifying and highlighting the burlesque and nightlife community in New York City and different shows and projects that you have a connection with or for a good cause. I wanted to say, I like that you mentioned that earlier. And we're all going to follow you. I'll also put all the links in the show notes. And thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. You're the best.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Tails and Tassels. We love hearing from you, so feel free to send us an email at tailsandtasselspod@gmail.com or some listener questions. There'll be one more episode next week where I'll be answering any questions about the pod, about our guests, about Cat Beret. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Also, join our community on Instagram at Tails and Tassels Pod for more updates and behind the scenes fun. Until next time, take care, kitty cats.